What's up, everybody? Big Hurt, fresh out. You tuned into another edition of our interviews. I'd like to keep you guys laced up with some great interviews, and today is another one for you. I'm here with Isaac, and he's got a hell of a story. You know, he reached out to us. We've been trying to connect for a minute, so I'm gonna let him explain a little bit about where he's from, how he grew up, and lead into his story.
So basically, I pretty much grew up as a gang member, man, since I was 9 years old. And, you know, I grew up in Rosemead, South San Gabriel, a neighborhood called Lomas. And, you know, I pretty much, that's all I've known, man, since I was a gang member, you know, since I was a kid. And I you know, I lived the gang life, and you know, I you know, went in and out of juvenile halls and did all that. To where eventually I ended up spending, you know, for like 5 years, man, from 2008 to 2013, I fought a case, man, a murder case for 5 years, and you know, I guess we'll get into all that after, but that's pretty much it, man. That's it's been my life, is all I've known.
Did you have any role models growing up, like in your life? I mean, I know a lot of times I tell people having a male role model or somebody that's a positive influence. Did you have any of that when you were growing up?
Nah, man. I mean, I had role models, but they weren't, you know, positive role models. It was more on the negative side. But yeah, man, it was all negative, and I think that did have an impact. I didn't have a father, a male figure there, and you know, I ended up, you know, looking up to the homies and my, you know, my older homies, and trying to follow them and emulate them, and that's how I ended up, you know, becoming what I became, man. And
what was the incident that led to you eventually catching the murder rap, man, and having to fight that? What happened there?
So this was this murder case happened in 1998. It was a murder that happened in my neighborhood, and somebody was arrested for it. Someone was arrested for the murder, maybe like 2000, 2001, around there, and they fought the case, and they ended up taking a deal. They ended up taking a deal. It wasn't a deal. It was like, because it had life behind it. It was a 15 to life. Damn. And so it wasn't a deal, man. And anyways, fast forward, they pretty much, the same person, they went and they interviewed him, I believe in 2007. He was in prison, and they try to, I guess, get him to turn on other people, me included. And then so I was in prison at the time. Actually, I was in Corcoran. I was on my way out, man, and they, I guess he cooperated. You know what I'm saying? He cooperated, and I got out January 1st of 2008, and in February 14th, Valentine's Day, I went to see my parole officer, and they pretty much, they hand me up, man. They try to question me about that murder, and you know, I didn't cooperate, and they ended up arresting me for the murder, man. It was the 10-year-old murder. Damn. Yeah, so that's how that happened, man. And I ended up in the county for 5 years fighting that case. So
he had already been down, and you were out on parole, and then you got hemmed up for a case he was on.
Yeah, he pled guilty to the case, man, and he pretty much, he wanted to get out, man. He was trying to find a way out, and that's what he did, man.
So what happened? What was you know, what followed after that? Because I know, you know, now they're trying to pin you somehow tied into the murder. So, you know, how did you have to deal with the court process and all that stuff? I mean, what happened with you?
So what happened with me is, initially I had a few attorneys, and I had to fire them, man. They weren't out for my best interest. You know what I'm saying?
Tell them. A lot of times, the attorneys who they assign you, they're just trying to trade cases with the prosecutor. They want you to plead out so they can get a quick conviction.
Yeah, especially if it's like mine was like a so-called high-profile case, and it was, you know, they pretty much, they're really not attorneys, man. They're like DAs really, but they just they have the title on them. You know what I mean? Public defender.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Public pretender, whatever you want to call them. You know, some of them are even state appointed, and I had to get rid of them, man. And then I got an actual attorney that my family got me, but we didn't really have that much money. You know what I'm saying? This attorney, she was a female. She ended up, the money wasn't right, man. She ended up, everything started out good, and then she just turned on me. I actually think that the prosecutors kind of turned her against me, and then so I was forced, you know, to go pro per, man, to defend myself. I was pro per for about 3.5 years in there, man.
Damn.
3.5 years, and I pretty much did a lot of the legwork for my attorney, Alex Kessel. Shout out to Alex Kessel, man. He's a good attorney, and he put the case together, man. He put it all together, but I did a lot of the stuff that
a lot of stuff the paralegal would do.
That a paralegal will do. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
A lot of stuff that a private investigator would do.
Yeah.
I put a lot of that stuff together, man. I spent all my time on that.
And
man.
for those of you out there, a private investigator is very important when you're fighting any type of major case, because they are on the streets and they can get information you can't get. So
exactly.
it's important to have all that when you're trying to fight, especially, you know, a serious case, a serious charge.
Yes, sir, man. So pretty much I represented myself, and it was pretty hectic, man. I was going in there, I wasn't just battling the judge, the attorneys, man. I was battling, I mean the prosecutor. I was battling the judge, man. The judge, that's a whole other story, man. The judge, they look down on pro pers. You know what I'm saying? They just do not like pro pers, man. They try to do everything they can to dissuade you to relinquish your right to represent yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I was fighting the judge, man. I was fighting the judge. He wasn't trying to hear anything that I was
your
proposing. My motions, denied, like, and he wouldn't even let me speak. Really, I would go in there and just try to be heard, just try to lace the record. You know what I'm saying? Like lace the record and get what I need to get on the record. He wouldn't want that to happen, man. So he would cut me off. He'd use psychological tactics and sometimes they worked, man, because I used to get discouraged, man. He used to use some pretty vicious tactics against me, man. But you know, we'll get into that later, I guess, how I got out of that courtroom. I ended up getting out of that courtroom, but that's pretty much what I was facing from the beginning, man. Was doing all the legwork and looking. They actually arrested me illegally. They had a fake arrest warrant.
Oh man.
And I was attacking. That was my main thing. I was attacking.
So right from the beginning, the arrest was
the arrest was illegal, bro. It was illegal.
Violation of your.
Yeah, and I was trying to get that out, man. They didn't have a supporting affidavit. They're supposed to have a supporting affidavit.
That's right.
They didn't have that, and I was attacking that viciously, bro. And he wouldn't let me lace the record on that, bro. He would not let me get that on the record, and he stretched it out, bro, for months, and you know, they pretty much violated my rights when it comes to that. But it wasn't enough to get me out, you know what I'm saying, at the time.
So you have mentioned to me off camera about coming into a large sum of money, which allows you to get this attorney, and then how were you able to get out of that courtroom? Because for the record, I know that when you're pro per, a lot of times, because you're not an officer of the court, they don't want to let you say stuff because you're not playing by their rules. See, this court shit is all a fucking game for you guys out there who think it's, you know, some real legal system. It's all a fucking game, and everybody works with each other in these back offices, and they have these meetings and stuff. So if you're a pro per or a sui juris, a lot of times they don't want to let you even say anything because now you're putting them on blast.
Yeah, man. So the way I got out of that courtroom, man, is I mean, off the top, I'm gonna just say this: I'm a man of faith, man. I believe in God, and I believe it was supernatural dealings that had to do. But as far as legally, I had to file motions, man, to get out of there. But the only way I was able to get out of there is I came across what do you call that? Like where the stenographer, they have a transcript of the proceedings, okay?
Yeah.
So I came across it when it was right there, and I snatched it up, man. I still remember to this day. I was in the hole actually when I was during this proceeding. I was in the hole in the county jail, and I snatched up this. I see my name on it, so I snatched it up, and they didn't see me, man. I took it back, and I looked at it in the back. It was a proceeding of one of I think the day before or 2 days before, and what I realized is that what I was saying in the courtroom, what I was speaking, was missing.
Oh shit!
They were cutting.
They were stopping.
They were cutting what I was saying, bro.
Wow.
So, because that's very important for appellate purposes.
You need all the transcripts.
You need all the transcripts.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
That's why I'm saying supernatural, bro. That just happened to be there, bro.
If you wouldn't have seen that,
if I didn't see that,
wow.
I snatched it up. So that was the beginning. That's what led me to. I was like, whoa! If they did this here,
wow.
what happened over here?
Yeah.
So
wow.
immediately, bro, I started working on my motion to get all my prior transcripts. And when you're pro per, they have to give you
That's right.
every transcript of your proceedings, bro. They cost a lot of money, man. Those transcripts, that's what they don't want to give them to you. So, and this guy, he used to deny me motions that I was supposed to get. And he was basically denying me motions that as a pro per they had to give me, but he was getting away with it, in other words. You know what I'm saying? So I started working on the motion, and I actually asked all my family members, I asked all my friends, as many people as I can have, to have in that courtroom when I have the hearing for the transcripts, to get the transcripts, because I thought he was going to violate my rights and deny me that motion to get the transcripts. Mm-hmm. So when I filed the motion, I told him, Your Honor, you know, I have, as you can see, I have a lot of people back here in the audience, and you know, I really need these transcripts because I believe this courtroom has violated my constitutional rights, man, to not only defend myself and to speak in this courtroom, but to lace the record, you know, and I need every prior transcript that I've had in this courtroom, because I plan to file. I even forget what it is, the motion to file, but I need to file a motion to get out of this courtroom, so I can have a fair trial. Mm-hmm. And I said, and if I don't get this approved, I said I'm prepared to go to the media and do whatever I need to do to have my constitutional rights upheld in this courtroom. And he was like, I put him against the wall, man.
Stuck, huh?
He was stuck, bro, and he had to grant it, bro. He granted me the motion.
Wow.
When I got my transcripts, sure enough, bro, a lot of my proceedings, man, missing, inaudible.
Wow.
And
now think about how many times this happened, bro. You're one of the few that went in the law library and took it into your own hands while everybody else was playing dominoes and shit. But damn, how often do you think that happens?
Man, it probably happens a whole lot, bro. It's just that a lot of people, you don't realize it until you get convicted, you get sentenced. You're sitting somewhere, and you probably still won't know that whole time.
Unless you start looking.
Unless you start digging. You were trying to lace the record, and come to find out, or on the what do you call that? The appeal attorneys that they have in upstate. The appeal attorneys. They probably will dig in and be able to see, but other than that, most people
don't even look at the records like that.
Most people won't even realize it, man. They won't even realize it. So, anyways, I filed that motion, and you know, I'll just pray. It's very hard to get out of a courtroom, man. So I was praying, bro. I was praying, Lord, get me out of here, man. I was ready to go to trial. He was ready to take me to trial, bro, and I wasn't even prepared. I didn't have nothing ready because I couldn't. He wasn't letting me go through the steps to get to trial, man. He was violating me at every step. So, like I said, man, I was praying, man, and there was actually an earthquake, bro. I was in the law library, and I was like, man, I was even doubting, should I file the motion? Because I was like, if I file the motion and it gets denied, I'm gonna go straight to trial and I'm gonna really not have a fair hearing. There was an earthquake, bro. There was an earthquake, and I took that as a sign. It was probably not, you know what I mean? I took it as a sign. I was like, wow, and I was like, I just filed it, bro. I filed it, and with the higher courts, and by God's grace, bro, boom, they took me out of that courtroom, man, and they actually put me in another courtroom. I don't know if you've seen my Street Gangs video, but they put me in a worst courtroom, bro. A so-called worse courtroom than the one I was in. It was with Miss Kathleen Kennedy. She was the one that was OJ's preliminary hearing judge.
Yeah.
And supposedly she was like, she didn't play games, man. And I ended up there, bro. But that's the courtroom I ended up in, and that's where I got released from, man.
Lockdown's over. Get your yard time in. Exclusively at FreshOutSeries.com.